Battle of Plattsburgh Day, September 11th, 2004. We're on Crab Island, a place that is familiar to all of our viewers because some history was made here last year, and we were so privileged at Hometown Cable with our little corner to be here when this magnificent flagpole was restored and raised. It was no small task, and you've heard the whole story repeated more than once, but it's a glorious story. History was made here, of course, during the Battle of Plattsburgh. That's why we're back here today in 2004. We're going to commemorate the troops that lost their lives in the Battle of Plattsburgh by dedicating a new plaque later on today as part of the ceremonies for Battle of Plattsburgh Day. It's especially significant because these ceremonies will be attended by some of the higher echelon folks from the American Legion across our state and across our nation. There were some dignitaries from other organizations here yesterday, which would have been September 10th, to talk about possibly getting some funding to keep these trails up, to put dock facilities on both sides so people can come out here and enjoy the tremendous wealth of history that we have on this island, Crab Island, and elsewhere. Our thanks to all the people who've made this day possible, and we'll be interviewing many of them before this day is through. We'll, of course, be recording the actual ceremonies on this end of the island where the flagpole is located, and starting later in the morning at 10 o'clock at the actual monument on Crab Island that many of you may have seen only from a boat. We're recording this at about 7 minutes before 9 on a beautiful September 11th, Saturday morning. Bright sunshine, temperatures barely 60 degrees with the prospect of getting into 70 before this day is through. I hope you stick with this program and enjoy remembering and perhaps learning for the first time about the history of not only the Battle of Plattsburgh, but the significance of this burial ground on Crab Island. It's now about 10 minutes later as the weather wax approaches. You've heard us talk about the weather wax with my friend, Captain Frank Pabst. This is a replica of a sailing ferry from many, many years ago. Quite a few of these plied the lake back and forth, taking passengers and cattle and goods from one side to the other. This one, of course, is not under sail today. There isn't much of a breeze blowing, just a perfect Saturday on Battle of Plattsburgh Day as Captain Frank brings some more folks over here. The pontoon boats have been very busy since 5 o'clock this morning as our friend Roger Harwood began towing docks over here so that these boats bringing dignitaries and other visitors for the ceremonies on the Battle of Lake Champlain Day would have a place to easily get off the boats. And Calvin points out a distinction that I should mention several times, because he was referring to a very nice article in the Lake Champlain Weekly that was written 1 year after the Battle of Plattsburgh and the Battle of Lake Champlain in 1815. The Battle of Plattsburgh refers to the land conflict, and the Battle of Lake Champlain refers to what we now call the Battle of Plattsburgh with Commodore McDonough in Plattsburgh Bay, just so you understand that there was a distinction, and we'll be making that distinction from time to time because both of these components were tremendously important. And of course, history relates the Battle of New Orleans and the Battle of Lake Erie and the other battles connected with this whole campaign in 1814. Well, the weather wax is here. A few of the American Legion dignitaries are on board. Others will be arriving a bit later via pontoon boats, and we're recording this at just after 9 o'clock so that by 10 o'clock our official ceremonies at the monument here on Crab Island will be getting underway. And we thought we might like to see what manpower is like as we get a group of about 10 men. Listen to the encouragement they're getting from the peanut gallery here as they drag that cannon up over the hump. and bring it on. I have no idea how much the cannon weighs, but you know it weighs quite a bit because of the metal in the cannon itself. You can imagine, and these are small cannon compared to some of the cannon that were dragged around, and you've seen the photographs, the Brady photographs from the Civil War depicting the really large cannon as they were towed through the mud and so on. And if you think we were finished, no, that was just a practice run. There's another cannon yet to go, a beautiful brass cannon. And we'll just have to see how that works out when they bring that over. I can't get over the spectacular weather. We're just looking across the lake to the land past the water tower and the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, looking at the bluff, looking at the Adirondack Mountains in the background, and we surely do live in a spectacular part of the country. We quipped when they put the cannon aboard that perhaps they'll have to, before they get here, they'd have to dive for more cannon from the bottom of Lake Champlain, but we weren't very serious. This is a smaller cannon, but it looks like it's still pretty heavy.
There's the eagle out here again.
Yeah, somebody said there's the eagle out there, and there's the eagle flying. See it overhead? Isn't that beautiful? That's pretty nice, huh?
The official flyover.
That's the official flyover, yeah. I'm sure that's organized by the Vermont Air National Guard. That's kind of cool. Well, that one seemed to come up pretty easily. These guys get a medal for bringing the cannon on the grounds for our later celebrations today.
At least.
Yeah, do I look radiant? Good morning, Captain Frank.
On the top of the morning to you, Gordy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. What a beautiful day on Lake Champlain.
Spectacular. It reminds you of the day when we raised the anchor. It was just this kind of a day. And that was what, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? I don't know. I lose track.
Just as you turned 6 years ago, and just as you turned the weather wax in here about 5 minutes ago, the eagle flew over, almost right over your mast. I said, whoa.
Well, you know, John Rock has been theorizing that the spirits of those that are here appreciate the efforts that we've been expending, and it evidenced itself in the fact that we've had good weather for this event, and the fact that the eagle has saluted us each time we come out.
Isn't that? It's kind of amazing. And he was telling us as we came out here in the pontoon boat about when they put the new monument in, and they got it all settled. Everything was calm. The lake was calm. Then the breeze came up and furled a flag.
Indeed, because the flag was hanging limp on the pole, or if it was twisted, and by the time we got done setting the monument up, it's furled out, and it looked, Old Glory never looked better.
Well, we're recording this on September 11, 2004. The weather is special. This should be a very nice ceremony today with a lot of big dignitaries. What are you going to be doing? I know you're going back and forth with the weather wax.
We're running shuttles for we've got National American Legion dignitaries that we're transporting out. It's going to be just a spectacular day. And it's showing the North Country to people who might not have seen it otherwise.
Did you come out here yesterday? Which would have been the 10th. The canals to locks people were here.
We took the lakes to locks people out, and that was about 30 people, representatives of the chambers of commerce, the businesses, up and down the canal route, and they were just totally amazed at what we've got up here, and I think the things are going to get better because now people know that we're here.
Did you look at the Lois McClure yet? Did you go aboard?
I haven't been aboard. I was talking to the captain, and we went out to meet it the day that she sailed into the harbor.
It's nice.
Yeah.
We did a TV show there yesterday, and we were very pleased. It's beautiful.
It's a spectacular boat. Spectacular.
I know you got to get going, Frank. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for all you do.
Gordy, Cal, you gentlemen have a good day. I'm glad you got good weather for the show.
I love it. See you later.
Take care.
Well, there are a lot of dignitaries here, including Jim Millard from the Historic Lakes. How are you?
I'm just fine, Cody.
Great to have you over here. I heard you had a nice crowd at your little presentation yesterday, which would have been the 10th.
I was really pleased. We had a presentation in the City Council chambers, and we had a good group. It actually filled the place up.
What? You were talking about Crab Island.
I was talking about Crab Island, and I'm really gratified by the interest. It's exciting, and we see it today.
And it's growing and growing and growing. What are some of your salient points that you were making yesterday?
Well, it's always about, for me, the main thing is about the graves. We have at least 150 men buried here. British and Americans buried together in a common grave. This is a very rare thing. It's a very exceptional thing. It's a part of our heritage, and that was the main focus of the presentation last night. I didn't go through the whole history of it. I basically dwelled on the period from the War of 1812, the Battle of Plattsburgh on. But I think that the audience got the point. I think they understood this was an important place. I was happy to see them there.
Isn't it fun for somebody like you and me, and certainly somebody like you who's a professional, to finally see this interest generated in the history of this area? It's taken us so long to get where we're standing today.
Absolutely. We've talked about this before for the longest time. I think probably for both of us, even though from slightly different generations, we didn't hear about the history when we were younger. And all of a sudden it's turned around. I was speaking with the gentleman from the British Attaché office today, Captain Gower, and he's excited also because he sees a resurgence of interest in our history. He also sees it in Britain. So it's an exciting time. It really is.
It's really good, and I have the good fortune of corresponding with people from the UK about this part of our history and about our earlier American history during the Revolution, and it's wonderful how they study it in a refreshing and honest way, and their attitudes today are wonderful, and they wished us luck today and the whole thing. And isn't that cool?
It is. It's wonderful.
Have you seen the new monument over here that they're going to unveil?
You know, it's when I went over today, it was covered up.
And
so
you
I'm
didn't
looking
peek?
forward. No, I didn't peek.
But isn't that nice? And,
Yes.
and you know, you and I both know John Rock very well, and we know how passionate and dedicated he is about the lives that were lost here and the fact that the British and American soldiers are both here.
Right.
And this is kind of a unique place in
It's
America for that reason, if for no other.
It's a very unique place. When you think about Crab Island's place in history, it was a very brief period of time, like a moment in time, but it was so significant. And to me, this is hallowed ground. I think John feels the same way. I know Roger does. People that come here, I've always maintained, Crab Island gets its hooks in you. One of the things I featured last night was the history of people who have cared about this island right from 1894, when George Pond, a captain at Plattsburgh Barracks, he wrote for a period of 13 years trying to get interest in this island, and it's because it has an effect on people.
Somebody emailed me, then called me on the telephone last night and said, don't forget to mention city historian Jim Bailey, who's talked so much about this in years past when no one would listen.
Jim Bailey was featured prominent last night in my presentation. It would be remiss not to mention Jim. He was critical in the 1980s. He and the ad hoc committee for Public Crab Island, and seeing to it that the state bought this island. And no history of Crab Island is complete without talking about Jim and his accomplishments, certainly.
And we understand now the Lakes to Lock people were here yesterday, and things look very, very encouraging.
Yeah, the group headed up by Janet Kennedy, Lakes to Lock, is a group that I think is really going to be doing something. They seem to be able to secure funding. They seem to have a good group of people working with them. And it's one more part of this interest in heritage tourism, and I think they're going to accomplish a lot.
It takes volunteer efforts, but it also takes money to develop trails, to work up docking facilities, and if that money is forthcoming in the next little while, that'll be just the next chapter. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Money is what makes things happen. But first you have to have the public interest, and I think that's happening. The power of the people is amazing. I mean, once people get interest and people get things happening, I'm optimistic. I am.
I love it. Jim, thanks for being here. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but thanks for everything you do, my friend.
Thank you,
Have
Gordy.
a great day.
Okay, you too.
There are lots of VIPs on the island today. Bob Neville, how are you?
Great. Good to be here.
And look who's standing behind you. Is that
my
on
lovely
purpose?
wife, yes.
How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Is it Betty?
Betty, yes.
I love your accent. Where is that accent from?
Long Island.
Where on the island?
Very East End, North Fork, South Hole.
I love
Town
it.
of South Hole.
Spent a lot of time on the island. I love it. So is this this is a first for you up here today, Bob, right?
Well, it's the first on Crab Island. Yes, I've been to Clinton County and Plattsburgh several times, but on Crab Island, yes, it is a first.
Now, what's your position with the American Legion?
Right now, I'm the National Executive Committeeman representing the state of New York at the American Legion.
I'm impressed. I love it.
Well, the American Legion's been good to me. It's a good organization. We're a grassroots organization made up of wartime veterans, very involved in our communities with children and youth, and naturally remembering our veterans. That's why we're here today.
This is kind of, we've said it many times, but it's kind of a unique place where American soldiers and British soldiers are buried together.
That's true. We come here today to recognize that, and it is a unique thing where the soldiers from at the time, it's kind of ironic that at the time they weren't allies, and today in this war against terror, there's no bigger allies in the world than the Americans and the British.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Well, we're so happy for your involvement. Of course, we've worked with the folks from the Legion around here for a long time, and John Rock has been a friend of mine since he was a very small child. He was never a very small child, I have to tell you. But we were here when they rehabilitated that wonderful flagpole and erected it last year, and nobody would be more pleased to get national recognition for this place than John Rock and Roger Harwood and all of our good friends in the Legion around here.
Well, that would be fantastic. We came from the American Legion from Long Island, Rochester, Albany. There are a lot of people from all over the state of New York here, and certainly, why did we come? Someone said last night, why did we come? And I said, well, we come not only to remember, but we come so that we don't forget. And it's kind of ironic being here today on the anniversary of not only the Battle of Plattsburgh, which took place in 1814, but also 3 years ago, the 9/11 incident in New York City, where for the first time in an initial battle, which that started the war against terror, but 3,000 civilians died that day who they didn't go to war. They died, and we can't forget that either. It was the first strike in the war against terror. And
so many things to remember today.
Oh yeah, it is.
Well, we're delighted that you made it to town.
Well, I'm good to be here.
I don't know if you came in a bus or a car. I heard the bus was a few minutes late this morning.
Well,
somebody ducked when the cannon went off.
We actually.
Twitch, Calvin.
You know, it's kind of unique that living in the farthest East County in the state of New York, that we actually the shortest way to come to Plattsburgh for us was to go through Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Vermont.
Isn't that amazing?
And to come back to New York.
I made that trip over. Did you take the Port Jeff ferry?
No, we took the Orient, New London to Orient. Yes, we live right out there. We live way out east. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Well, the end.
I don't go to the island much anymore. I love it and have many friends there, including some relatives.
Yeah.
But the Long Island Expressway.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's one thing nice about going through New London.
New London.
Much better.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
that's the perfect way to go.
It's a delight to have you both here today. Have a wonderful stay, and thank you for coming here.
Okay, thank
Have
you.
a great day.
Thank you.
Oh, we had to get John and Angela in the shot there, and people are taking pictures. It's a beautiful sunshiny day on September 11, 2004. We thought for a minute that Gene Gilbert was going to get trapped at the hotel,
We certainly did, Gordy. We've had some problems.
but you're here.
We finally got here, yeah. We've got one more boat on its way, but we were having some problems with busing. So,
That's all right. People are going to get here in plenty of time. We got 12 minutes before the scheduled start of this ceremony.
absolutely.
Is this kind of exciting for you, this moment? Well, first of all, we should say that you're connected with the Legion in Au Sable Forks, right?
Right. I'm the commander for the American Legion Post 504 in Mita St. Nelson in Au Sable Forks. Second largest post in the county, for Clinton County, as a matter of fact. 421 members.
Wonderful.
I'm also affiliated with the American Legion. I'm the chairman for public relations for the Department of all of New York State. And
So this is a big deal for you.
this is a
You and
very...
I talked about this on the phone.
You and I have talked many, many times now. We've played a lot of phone tags.
That's great.
Gordy.
But we're here.
That we are.
This is a big deal for you.
Oh, yes, it is. I'm extremely elated on the aspect that out of 40 people out of Legion that we invited, we were able to get 28 that responded that are here. They're from all over New York State. We have 3 people here on the national level to see the restoration of this island. I mean, 20 years ago, Gordy, as you well know,
Oh, yeah.
we couldn't stand right here.
Lots of poison ivy.
Lots of poison ivy. And the video that you provided for me last year on the raising of the flagpole that John Rock and Post 1619 were finally successful in erecting, the video that you provided me, I was able to re-edit. I took that footage, added the little music background. I just gave you a copy.
I heard you had a little rah-rah music in
Yeah,
there.
well, and I brought that to the people in Albany. I wanted them to take a look at it. I said, what Post 1619 in Clinton County American Legion, I think this needs to be seen by the American Legion of New York State. So the hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes of VHS video that you gave me, my people in Albany, Adjutant Pedro says, Gene,
15 minutes.
yeah, well, 15 minutes if we can show that at the convention. So I put it together and I took a trip to Albany and we had a meeting. Mr. Al Carpenter, who's here today, Mr. Pedro's not here. He's at a reunion out west somewhere for his shipmates. But they took a look at it and they said, yes, Gene, that's valuable stuff. Let's take a look at it. So the video was shown at the Midwinter Conference at the Desmond Americana in January. Post 1619 was given awards on the state level after that, and we decided to take it another step further because individuals who were attending that Midwinter Conference were on a national level. They got to see it, and I spoke to them and tried to garner some support on trying to get a national award of citation for the Post. And I made copies of the DVD, your video once again, and provided it to the national people who are here today, Bob Morrell and Bob Neville. And they went and garnered the support on the national level to have an award, which they'll be presented today at 1:15 at City Hall steps in front of the North Country.
Isn't that great?
Oh,
Isn't that
absolutely.
great?
Well,
See what you did.
Well, I didn't do anything.
Yes,
Look,
you
you know what? Look what they've done.
Yeah.
That's the most important aspect. Look what they've created here.
Yep.
It's like I've tried to explain to them many times. I'm nothing more than a tool, and as you are, you know.
I've been called lots of things.
But not never a tool.
No, that's great. Yeah, we all work toward a common end.
A common end, a common
Promoting
goal.
the history in the area, getting people interested in it, and now you've taken that another level. That's
We've taken
cool.
it another level, which is good. Like we've discussed on the telephone, that's just good for the North Country.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime we can get PR out here, like yourself, we got WPTZ, WCAX, and hopefully the Plattsburgh Press. I'm not sure because I just got off on the island myself. But anytime that we can promote the North Country and bring people in from all over the state and all over the nation in here to take a look, to see what we've got. You know, we've seen many aspects of wars on TV, of World War II, Korean War movies and stuff like this, but you don't see any movies about this, so people aren't really aware of what went on up here. And we're hoping that information like this and shows like yours, and WCAX, and we're hoping that, or not, and WPTZ, that this type of information goes out so that, number one, Clinton County American Legion is recognized by the community and Post 1619 for the very good that the veterans still do all the time. Not just this, but all over the North Country.
It's
and that's
great. We're
important.
just so pleased to have all these people here today, and the weatherman, whoever is responsible for this kind of weather, you
Absolutely.
couldn't trade it. Considering what we've had like last
Oh
weekend.
my goodness, we were concerned about the guys from the Post. I'm not much of a believer myself, but you and I had talked on the phone. They believe that the spirits out here
Oh,
are the
yes.
ones that take a look at the lake and make sure that the lake is always at the level that they need to transport all their cannons and their everything that they need out here. And now today, people, and at 75 degrees and a slight northeast wind, it's gorgeous.
You're a good weatherman. Very good.
And Smiling Tom, right?
You know, Gene, we're pleased to have you here. We thank you for your contribution, and this is a real big deal for us, and I know it is for you too.
Oh, I'm just elated. You know, we've been working on this already for a year. Well, from the very first time that I saw your video, That's where that was the nucleus right there. I mean, here I live in All Sable Forks. I knew about Crab Island. I knew that we came out here and we did, our military salutes off the back of the Juniper when Frank had it and stuff like this, but we never came on the island. And I'd see little clips on WPTZ when Roger was out here working and when John. But until I actually saw your and Calvin's video, that was the big step for me to say possibly do something on the aspect of because of my affiliation with the department, and to see if I could garner the support to do that. And we were successful.
So here we are.
Here we
I
are.
love it.
Yes, and there's a lot of people out here today. We've got, a lot of the posts for our color guard, that normally for years have never been on the island. They always had to be aboard the ferry here. They never came on, and that's a big deal for them. Normally, as you well know, last year the only post that was out here was PICS.
How well we know.
That it's all. So now we got Post 504 out here. We got Montgomery Post 912. And is there anybody else, Steve, that's out here?
Shazy Post.
Shazy, you guys came out too?
Yeah. There's also Post 20.
And Post 20. So some of these guys have never been on the island, and now they're able to come in and get a real feel of what John and Clinton County.
We also have Post 912 out of Rouse's Point this year.
Out of Rouse's Point, right? Yep.
I don't want to leave anybody out.
We hope not.
That's great. Guys, thanks so much. We're
Gordon,
going to have a
thank
good
you.
day. The ceremony will get underway in just a very few minutes.
That it certainly will. We're running because of the busing, we were
It'll be
running about
fine.
a half hour
Got
behind
another
schedule.
load on the way in here. I see the pontoon boats.
Yeah, my wife and stuff. She's got she's on that ship, and she left me back on shore, and I make it here before she does. So.
I love it. See you guys later.
All right, Gordy, thank
Bye-bye.
you very much.
You too,
Calvin,
buddy.
thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Jimmy's a little different.
If I could get everybody's attention while they're lining up here in the flag there, I'd like to tell you a brief history of this monument. This monument was built in 1909 to honor the dead on Crab Island. The flagpole was erected in 1903. This monument held 4 flags that honored the Battle of Plattsburgh, the Battle of Valcourt, the French and Indian War, and there's another one on the backside that honored the land battle. And those flags are in City Hall right now. They went on the 4 spaces that are around the side of this monument. As you can see, we've had some vandalism over the years. The eagles' heads have been broken off on the monument, and the fence was erected 2 years after the monument was. It's a very solemn place, and we are going to lay a wreath here to honor the dead. That's what this monument was here for today, and that's what the laying of the wreath is going to be. We have our Reverend John Sorensen here that's going to give us a blessing, and then we'll start our ceremonies. Reverend, if you would, please.
To me, this place is an important symbol. This place is an important symbol because it represents people who were former enemies who are buried together. And as humans, as a human species who live in society with nations, our ultimate hope in peace and war is that people will learn to live together and love each other as brothers and sisters. And so behind my prayers is that hope, which I hope is your hope, that one day all peoples in this earth may live together in peace. O Judge of the nations, we remember before you with grateful hearts the men and women of our country and of Great Britain who in the day of decision ventured much for the liberties we now enjoy. Grant that we may not rest until all the peoples of our lands and of our world share the benefits of true freedom and gladly accept freedom's disciplines. This we ask in the name of God, the Creator, our Redeemer, our Maker. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. At this time, I'd like to introduce the firing squad that's up here. It's Line Mountain Post 1623, under the command of Donald Pickles Proctor. And the laying of the wreath is going to be with Angela Forks and Roger Harwood. Roger's been very instrumental in the cleanup of this island. He's worked very hard, as well as Angela has been the head of the MIA POW organization. And they'll be laying the wreath. Angela and Roger.
Prepare yourselves accordingly. Shots will be fired. Well, attention, cut. Prepare to fire. Unlock. Aim. Fire. Order, home. Red.
That concludes our ceremony up here. If you'll follow the trail down, we're going down for the unveiling of the monument at the flagpole. Thank you very much, everybody, ladies and gentlemen.
Follow me.
And through the miracle of television, we walked through the woods without you seeing us stumble on the trees and roots, and we made it back over here to the site of the flagpole. Roger Harwood. You
Morning,
got up before the birds this morning.
I did. It was a long ride to bring that dock up to put at the monument.
I heard you were towing docks at 5:30 this morning.
It just doesn't move, but it's here, and we were able to use it and get some of the older folks out here, and it's bigger and better than ever. You know,
Every year we have to get an update from you, because I know this is we've used the word passion a few times today. We've used it lots of times in our previous interviews with you. Crab Island is very important to you.
Yeah, it's very important, Gordy, and like I say every year, this is another big day for Crab Island. As some people may know, we've started opening up the trails from the 1909 map. Trails are back here, and actually the trails go all over the island. We're able to find the gravel paths that they put down in 1909 back in the thick woods, and we've opened them up. There's a trail that goes down here in the back and comes up through the sort of the middle, and then there's another one that's crossing right here on the other side of this brush, and that's our next project. And by the way, Gordy, the state is now mowing this. The people from Parks.
Well, come on, you didn't tell me that.
I'm out of work. Not really, but
man,
they mowed this a week or so ago, and then they mowed it about 3 weeks before that, and I'm very excited. It's really good. It's good for all of us to have them do it, and that'll be that'll be something we hope is ongoing with them.
But you still spent a lot of time over here.
Actually, this year, once I stopped doing the mowing, I haven't spent as much time because the mosquitoes, are the size of turkeys out here, and but we hope to go. We'll go back, when after frost and do some more. Actually, my wife was up here yesterday. She found another trail up on the north end that's not on the map, but it definitely is a trail, and that's our goal right now, is to open that up. What we found this winter, people are coming over here in cross-country skiing. People are coming in kayaks and canoes, and if we can get these trails opened up more, it's a destination. It's a year-round, well, not quite year-round, but when there's ice and when there's good water, people can come here.
You got to be so thrilled. Now, last year and the year before, we've talked about what your dreams were. Now, are any of those dreams coming true?
They're
for
here.
you?
This is one today, and to have people here that can enjoy this and get touched by it, I guess.
They have the big wheels from the Legion all over New York State. Some of the national committee members are here. That's pretty decent.
I can't say enough about the efforts of John Rock and his organization to bring an awareness of Crab Island. I've used that term many times before. Jim Millard has used that. In the past year since we spoke, Gordy, Jim's book is out, The Secrets of Crab Island. It's still on his website, historiclakes.org. People are visiting. They're visiting with a book, they're visiting with the website, and they're visiting here. There are often people here. I watch with my telescope from my house
Do you
down
really?
here, and you see boats, you see people coming here. And
In that case, we'd have to call it a spyglass, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have the weather wax, and Frank is doing a great job bringing people out, and it's great to share this spot that's sort of been, just a few of us for so many years, and you've seen it grow over the years. It's an important day. September 11th has a lot more meaning now, and it has a lot of meaning out here. We have some British folks here today.
And
it's a big day.
And this new plaque is nice too. It's going to be unveiled very shortly.
Yes, they've done a nice job, and one of our goals is to have more plaques with British and Canadian folks' names on it. These are just the American names, but it's coming. It's coming, and you've been here for a lot of it. You've heard me talk at length, but it's.
We may not get it back to 1909, but it'll be pretty nice each year. A little more money will be coming forward, you understand, based on some recent visits here by folks yesterday.
Hopefully, yeah. And if we can get it back so it looks like it did in 1909, we're not going to rebuild the cottage, the caretaker's house probably, or I don't know what will happen with the big pier that was here. But we have the monument, and if we can bring those trails back, that's something people can enjoy, and give them a place to come, and make it a destination. And it's a terrific place. We got guys up above here ready to do their thing.
I love it. Roger, you're the man.
Oh, thanks,
I keep
Gordy.
telling you, you're the man. You spent so much time, as many other people have. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention Gene Gilbert, who put together a very nice little.
I haven't seen it, but I talked to him about it.
I got a copy of it in my pocket, so we're going to take a look at it later on today. But all that counts.
It's all part of it. Every little bit. The new monuments are an addition. It's great. It's just great to have everybody here.
Wonderful.
And enjoying it with us.
Good luck. Have a great day, Rod.
Thanks, Gordy.
And all the civilians and everybody else that's out here for this ceremony today. It's a very proud day on Crab Island. We have finally erected a monument with the names of the sailors and the Marines that gave their lives in battle, that died for the freedom of our country. And we're going to be doing an unveiling ceremony here very shortly. We got some very distinguished guests here from the state and national with the legions. And at this time, I'm going to turn the program over to Art Maggie, who's going to do the introductions and begin the ceremony. Thank you. Thank you, John. As we said, we have many distinguished Legionnaires and Sons of the American Legion here, along with the various color guards. We're going to do the introductions, but please hold your applause till we're done. I would like the individuals at least to raise their hand so they can get the recognition, people see who they are. We're going to start with the Sons of the Legion first. The 7th District Commander, Bruce Ruthen. 5th District Commander, Lywood Penhall. Detachment First Vice Commander from the 4th District First Vice Commander, Dan Stellingham. 4th District Commander, Richard Loeffner. The Detachment Finance Officer and a past Detachment Commander, Don Chalmers. The Detachment Assistant Sergeant of Arms, Stephen Brown. The Detachment Assistant Adjutant, Thomas Kirk. Detachment Vice Commander, Department of New York, 7th and 8th District, Jerry Ketchum. Detachment Vice Commander, 3rd and 4th District, Buddy Maggie II. Past Detachment Commander, from Jefferson County, Raymond Jarvis. Current Detachment Commander, from Washington County, Larry Montello. The alternate National Executive Committeeman, David Downey. Commander of the 8th District, Joseph Linhart. Past Detachment Commander, David Englert. The first the National Vice Commander for the Eastern United States, Tom Smokum. Commander of Clinton County, Steve Bowman. Past 4th District Commander, Warren Manor. 4th District Adjutant, Richard Johnson. Current 4th District Commander, Judson Morley. The Department of New York Public Relations Chairman, Gene Gilbert, who has been a great asset in putting this program together. The MIA POW Chairman for the Department of New York, William Clancy. Department of New York photographer, Doug Malin. Past Department Commander and currently the Department Office Assistant in Albany, Alton Carpenter. The 3rd and 4th District Department Vice Commander, Robert Mudge. The alternate National Executive Committeeman, Richard O'Keefe. The National Public Relations Chairman, Robert Morrell. The National Executive Committeeman, Robert Neville. Also, we have Dan Stewart, the Honorable Mayor, City of Plattsburgh. And we have color guards here, Post 1619 color guard, Post 504, and Post 912. We welcome all of you. At this time, I'd like to call on the chaplain, Post 1619, Peter Carvelis.
Uncover, please. A veteran's prayer. My friends, as once said, O Lord, we have long known that prayer should conclude confession. Therefore, on behalf of the veterans and their guests gathered here, I'll confess their sins. Lord, they're just not in step with today's society. They are unreasonable and changing to from old-fashioned ideas like patriotism, duty, honor, and country. They have been seen standing when the colors pass, singing the national anthem at ball games, and drinking toasts to fallen comrades. Not only that, they have been observed standing tall, taking charge, and wearing their hair unfashionably short. They have taken Teddy R's and JFK's words too seriously and are overly concerned with what they can do for their service and country instead of what it can do for them. They take the Pledge of Allegiance to heart and believe that their oath is to be honored, and they know that they know what the definition of is. Forgive them, Lord, for being stubborn men and women who hold these values as genuine. They are aware of the price of honor, and with the total command of their spirit, they have been willing to pay the price. After all, what more can you expect? They are veterans. O Lord our God, bless these men and women of ideals. Continue to raise up in this nation strong leaders and deliver us from the me first managers and the don't ask me followers. Be our honored guest this day, O Lord, and join with us in laughter, good food, good drink, and the telling of tall tales and legends that may occasionally exceed the truth. We bow our heads to those who were lost in places that had names meaningless until the muddy veteran landed. And that mud reaffirmed the one legacy that brings all veterans together by the blood and tears shed for service of country and each other. Watch over and safekeep all those who wear this nation's uniform, with special attention to their families and loved ones everywhere. I salute you all, for through this day and all the following days and nights ahead, God bless you, God bless this great nation, and God bless the American veteran. Amen.
After I introduced all the guests, I'd like to now to give them all a round of applause. We had 3 speakers this morning, and they're going to keep it short, they promised. First speaker will be Thomas Smokum. He's the National Vice Commander.
Thank you, buddy. On behalf of the National Organization and the National Commander, Mike Deacon, who was unable to be here today, it's my pleasure to represent the National Organization Sons of the American Legion here today to congratulate you on your fantastic work that you've done to rededicate this island to the men who lost their lives that protected our country. We'd like to thank you for what you've done and what you continue to do for the servicemen who served and died for our country, and for those of you who continue to support our troops overseas. We'd just like to congratulate you, the committee, for all their hard work and the dedication of this flagpole and the monument with the soldiers that lost their lives on this island. We'll continue to support all your programs, and we appreciate what you do. And on behalf of the National Organization, thank you for the invitation today to this awesome occasion that we're about to partake in. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Now I'd like to call the National Executive Committeeman, Robert Neville.
Thank you, Art. I too bring you greetings from our National Commander, Tom Cadmus, and it's an honor for me to be here this morning. What a fitting morning for a tribute to 50 some odd men that lost their lives 190 years ago. At that time, our nation was in its infancy. 40 years we had been a nation, and we had been at war at that time with Great Britain, who we separated ourselves from 40 years earlier. We come here today to honor the soldiers that are buried here, and it's a day to reflect. Why? We always ask why. Why does a soldier do what he does? The chaplain earlier this morning had mentioned freedom. Freedom is why. The soldier only fights the battle. Our elected officials decide when and where the war is. For years, people came to this country for freedom. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press. Those are the freedoms, many more, that people came to this country from. It's kind of ironic that they came through Canada, they came through our ports in New York, New Orleans, San Francisco. They came from all over the world to come here for freedom. For years, people passed that Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor, and they came here because the streets were paved with gold. That gold was the opportunity in life, the opportunity to live in a nation that was free. It's ironic that 3 years ago on this very day, that men flew over that Statue of Liberty, and they crashed into those towers, and they took the lives of over 3,000 civilians. And why did they do that? Because they don't like our freedom. And that, 3 years ago on today, started the war on terror. Today in Afghanistan and Iraq, we have soldiers sacrificing their life. For what? For freedom. They cherish the freedoms that we have in this country. Freedom is why a soldier stands next to that flag of ours and he puts his hand up and he says, to live in the freest nation on earth, I will sacrifice my life. And again, they're doing that today. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could tell those 50 some odd members of the military that lost their lives on this island that, guys, it's okay today, you're no longer enemies, because now we join with Great Britain and we've become the strongest allies on the face of the earth to defend this earth against the terrorist movement. So guys, as you rest in peace here on Crab Island in the middle of Lake Champlain, if you can hear us,
You are finally allies. We are allies, and we are all members in this great struggle against those terrorists who do not like our way of life. Thank you so much for having me here today. Thank you so much for remembering the American Legion, and thank you for all that you continue to do for America. Have a great day.
Thank you, Bob, for them inspiring words. There's a couple other introductions I was just made aware of. We want to thank the 962nd Ordnance for helping out, and also Frank Patz with the weather wax and all the other boat captains that's been shuttling people back and forth. At this time, I didn't overlook this guy because he's our featured speaker today. He is a Legionary, belongs to Lake Placid Post. He's the Assemblyman of the 101st District, Assemblyman Chris Hartlaw.
Thank you. Bob Neville, thank you for your remarks. You set exactly the right tone. To Roger Harwood, who's cared for this island for as long as he can remember, and John Rock, who believed that this flagpole could and should go back up. And for all those who enlisted in the effort to transform this island back toward what it always was meant to be. A grateful North Country and a grateful nation thanks you. And they will know more in the next 10 years about your work, and your work will be seen by the world 10 years from now. I'd ask you all briefly, because it's such a beautiful day, some of you are in the sun, some are in the shade, just to take 10 seconds to feel the environment around your body. The warmth of the sun, or the blessed comfort of the shade, the bright blue sky, the few clouds on the horizon, the prospect of a glorious autumn. Things we all know because we live on this earth. And then reflect that 190 years ago, just a few hours earlier, after the dawn broke and before the battle began, that all of those who lie beneath the soil of this island felt the same things for a last time before they gave their lives. And what a blessing we who live still enjoy. And that the fact that we enjoy it in freedom, that some of us can choose to stand in the sun and some can choose to stand in the shade, that we can make 1,000 other choices every day in freedom, we owe to them. And thousands of others. But today we think especially of the sailors who lie forever beneath the soil of Crab Island, united, as was said, in a brotherhood, a comradeship that they could never know when they died would have lasted 190 years. From this place, on that day, the paths of two great nations came together and never again fought. From that day, in this place, the United Kingdom and the United States have walked together on the path of peace, have walked together on the path of freedom, have fought together for the cause of freedom against freedom's enemies. And we do so still today. Those of us who live here like to say it all began right here. And we're not wrong to feel that way. Others could say it began in New Orleans, others could say it began at Fort McHenry. But here was the moment when the news of the outcome of this battle reached London, that His Majesty's government decided it was time to end the war. And from that moment to Christmas Eve of that year, the peace negotiators worked ceaselessly toward the goal of the treaty, which we now know today as the Treaty of Ghent. The war was over for all practical purposes the day these men went into the ground. They sleep here side by side in a mass grave. And over in the city and Riverside Cemetery, the officers, British and American, lie side by side in honor and in brotherhood. Today we are allies in the cause of freedom. May it ever be so. God bless America. God save the Queen.
Now we're going to have the unveiling of the plaque by Submarine Captain John Gowan. He's the Assistant Attaché from Canada. And also the American Legion Alternate National Executive Committeeman, Richard O'Keefe. Please do the unveiling.
Detail, up 10, come! Out, out, hey!
We'll now have the posting of the flags. Present turn. We'll now have the playing of the national anthem.
Twilight's last gleam.
Please hold your salute and allow the raising of the MIA-POW flag. Two. Now we'll have the reenactors do their firing, followed by the cannon.
Detail up, out, two. Prepare to fire. First squad, fire at will.
While they're loading their cannon, we want to thank our guitar player, Serge Bouchard, for entertaining today and for doing the national anthem. We thank you.
This year we were a little smarter to stand farther away from the cannon. They were extremely loud last year. We hope you could get the flag.
wonder if we're going to scare that eagle away permanently that lives on this island.
I don't know if the eagle will ever come. It's kind of neat to enjoy the spectacle of this day, and I hope you, through the eyes of the Hometown Cable camera, can get an idea of what's been like. It's very, very impressive. Hear the music, the speeches, see the flags raised, hear our national anthem, stirring speeches, and the very loud reports from the two cannon that were brought on the weather wax earlier today. The Sheriff's Boat Patrol is docked offshore. A couple other boats are. Many of the pontoon boats have been back and forth from early morning. I would say we ended up with well over 100 people on the island for these ceremonies. And there's more to come. This is the beginning of the actual Battle of Plattsburgh, Battle of Lake Champlain Day. Among the first events of the day, with many more planned, including the presentation of awards at 1:15 and the parade itself scheduled for 2 o'clock, and our cameras will be there. And the ceremony is concluding.
Let's give Post 1619 a round of applause for the great job they've been doing on this island and on this monument, this flagpole. And thank you to all your color guards, everybody that showed up today. It's a pleasure seeing so many Legionnaires and Sons of the American Legion here. Tom, smoke them, don't take off.
Well, we're going to interview you earlier, but it was time to get the show started here. Tom Slocum, how you doing?
Good. What an awesome day.
Just the weather was perfect.
The weather was perfect, and it's hard to believe it 190 years ago today that they had to bury the survivors and dedicate this to those people. It's really a tremendous asset to the community and to 1690, the Post and the committee. It really is.
We're thrilled to have you here. What position do you hold with the Legion?
I currently just got elected in Nashville, Tennessee as National Vice Commander East for the Sons of American.
Congratulations.
For the Sons of American Legion.
Wonderful.
Yes, it is. It's tremendous, I don't want to call it a thrill, but asset to the Sons to even come this far. 16 years ago, I never thought that I'd be a national vice commander, so it's a little hard to take right now. It's still breathtaking.
Congratulations on that. Where are you from, Tom?
I live in Broome County, which is mid-state New York, not the island, but we're right in the middle of the state of New York. Binghamton, John City, and Endicott. It's where I belong to my squadron, Post 89. It's where I grew up.
Had you ever been here in Plattsburgh before?
In 1999, when I was detachment commander, I did visit Plattsburgh, and matter of fact, we had the luncheon where the cannon sits, the tank sits today, and so it was really awesome to come back to this community. I love it up here. The scenery, the countryside is just gorgeous.
A lot of great history up here.
A lot of great history, and so rightfully so that we dedicated this today.
And the battery went dead for a minute, but we got a new one in. Yeah, it's really great to have you up here today to help celebrate. I'm sure you'd never set foot on Crab Island before today.
Never have. This is my first time to be to the island, and what a tremendous job they've done to the island. I can't imagine it 190 years ago what it looked like in the growth in that. And just to erect the flagpole in such a manner that they did, the teamwork and effort, and the 150-pound monument, I believe they said it was.
It's incredible. The whole thing has been incredible for us to watch, and we were pleased to be here last year when the flagpole went up. Calvin and I stood a little farther back than this in case things went wrong, but they didn't. Good, dedicated bunch of guys.
Last night at the spaghetti supper they threw, we watched the videos of them.
You did?
Erected it, and I can't imagine it's just, I'd like to have been here the day it went up.
It was inspiring for us, and thank goodness we captured it all on videotape, and lots of people around the country have now seen it. The whole object is to not only commemorate this Battle of Plattsburgh, the Battle of Lake Champlain, the fallen soldiers, but to let the rest of the nation know that something very important in our nation's history happened here. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and especially on this anniversary of 9/11,
Yeah,
ironically,
that too.
that 190 years ago on September 11th that this happened, and that's what comes to your heart, and the British and the Americans, and you know, it's just like Goodwill Days when the Canadians and we get together. It's what our country is all about, is the teamwork and the humanity that we do for the veterans that are serving now and that have served, and the ones that died, who sacrificed their lives so we could have the freedom under Old Glory, and that's what's so awesome about this day, is to stand here underneath this 100-foot flagpole and to pay tribute to them.
Isn't it great?
Tremendous.
It's
tremendous.
wonderful. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a pleasure to have you here. Enjoy the rest of your day. And
I understand they got quite a day for us, and once again,
it's going to be fun. You'll love the parade, too, at 2 o'clock.
it's my pleasure to be here on behalf of the national organization, and I want to thank the committee for inviting me to be here and be a part of this great ceremony. I appreciate that very much.
Come
Thank
back
you.
anytime, Tom.
I will most certainly do that.
See you later. Have
Thank
a great
you.
day. And for those of you who didn't look up while the ceremony was ongoing, there were a couple of guys standing at attention with rifles up in the crow's nest on a platform. And of course, it's no small job, especially for us amateurs down here, to climb a pole like that. So they have to be fully strapped in, as you can easily see. And when you go up, you got to come down, and that's what they'll be doing very quickly. It's really wonderful to see this flagpole in place, and for those of you who enjoy boating on Lake Champlain during the summertime, I'm sure you've gotten a good view of this flagpole and the flag flying on a regular basis as you go by, and now that you will have seen it on Hometown Cable, I think you'll get a deeper appreciation of why it's here and what its full meaning is.
Okay, take a little straight.
This is teamwork.
Got me? Okay.
This is faith in your friends. You got me?
I will just be starting.
And they're letting them down nice and easy. I guess that's what you call repelling, huh?
I find it very repelling.
Yeah, you find it awfully repelling.
We got coming down. The cheeseburger man.
Cheeseburger man. And he's on the ground. They've spent some time fixing up the base marina for this occasion, cleaning up the building. They have coffee and donuts for those people who'll be going back there today. The dignitaries who are visiting Plattsburgh will be well fed and dined, I can promise you that, before this celebration is over. And that's the idea, to offer them a very special Clinton County hospitality.
See that? That's what I was. See, that's what I'm telling you.
One down, one to go. We'll take a look at the actual plaque itself, which has been unveiled today. This is a true culmination of a dream for John Rock. Nobody fell off the pole. Nobody got shot.
It was great, Gordy.
What do you think, huh?
It was
What
a
do you think,
beautiful
John?
ceremony, and I'll tell you, we're proud. We're so proud of everybody who's helped us, and we got the names out here now, and that was our goal.
I just said as you walked over, that's what you wanted to do. That was your dream.
The flagpole and the names, and it's completed now. But we certainly aren't done with the island.
No, not at all. Listen, I think you made a few points here today with our visiting dignitaries.
Yes, and it's going to help us all the way around. And these ceremonies are just going to increase, and they're going to be getting better as the years go by, as well as the island.
we're going to hope to get the island trimmed up, get the poison ivy sprayed, killed on the island, and make this into a beautiful park, which it should be.
Already, we've talked to Roger today, and already quite a few people are coming over here to look around. They're opening up new trails around the back and through the middle of the island.
Yes, we had a tremendous summer. It was a huge success of the people that came over here to pay their respects, not only to the island, but the people that were laying here. It's been so long hanging in limbo and nobody knowing about the real status of the island that it finally came to light.
Come on, let's walk over and take a look at the plaque itself, because I want to know a little bit more about the history of this plaque and who conceived the idea and how it was designed. John, tell us about it.
Well, the plaque originally, this was my idea to get the plaque out here. This plaque was donated by the National Veterans Association, and it came out of Ohio. The design came and everything from the state. The state helped us with the design and everything else, and the Veterans Administration paid for it and shipped it to us. It's a 1,700-pound block of granite with a bronze plaque attached to it.
Did you bring it over on the weather wax, or did you?
Yes, we did,
Did
Gordy.
you really?
We
Just
brought
like
it,
the cannon this morning?
just like the cannon, and we brought it over here, and we used my small farm tractor, and we made an old-fashioned stone boat.
Did you really? And
That's,
towed it up the
that's
hill?
the way we brought it up the hill and onto the island. It was a very huge task, but it worked.
We mentioned it several times today, but you've talked about how the weather has always been cooperated. You set this in, got it all set in, then there was just enough of a breeze to make the flag furl.
Yes.
It's neat, isn't it?
It is. It's and I've said it before. You can feel the spirits out here when you're doing something to honor them. And like you said, the day we set this, there was no wind. The flag was hanging right on the pole. It was wrapped around the pole, as a matter of fact. We got this into place to honor these people. The breeze came up out of the northwest the same day as the wind was blowing from the day of the battle, and it flew their colors right out straight, which I'm sure the spirits are very proud to have their name finally recognized under this island.
It's nice to make our own little piece of history to celebrate and commemorate the history that happened here 190 years ago. And each time we do something like this ceremony today, we're adding another chapter to that history, and that's good.
Yes, it is
Very
exciting, Gordy. It is exciting, and it's a long time coming, like I've said before, and it's so nice to have everyone in the community part of this history.
What? You haven't finished, because we still have to tell the rest of the world about Crab Island.
Yes, we are. Our intent is to get national recognition for Crab Island, because as very few people know or realize or understand, as you can see the date on this monument, September 11th, 1814. And we were also attacked on our New York City on September 11th, 2001. Both of them at 9 o'clock in the morning. This battle took place at 9 o'clock in the morning. New York City took place at 9 o'clock in the morning, which is something that's very odd, or whatever you want to call it, but it's coincidental.
So we're going to continue this celebration. We are going to let other people in the world know about it. This island will probably look different next year than it did this year and each year thereafter, and that'll be nice.
Yes, and talking with Captain John Grauer, he was going to contact the Brits, and he would like the British names also put out here. So possibly next year we'll be unveiling another monument, but only with the British.
Well, that'd be neat.
It would be. It would be a tremendous tribute to all the people, all the other people that are here on the island, and it should be. They lay in the same graves out here. There was no winners really in this war, even though we won. These guys lost their lives. When that happens, there are no winners.
You know, it's amazing, and looking down at this list of names, and I've seen them before, but not in this format, and you wonder, as we walked over here from the monument, we wondered how many people living in this area could have been related to these guys. These guys could have been their ancestors.
I'm sure, Gordy, if people trace their family tree, they will find that they are related to some of these. We have Williams on here, we have Moore, we have Nelson.
Let me look a little bit closer. We have, Wilson.
There's a Post.
Wood.
And here's a Joseph Rao.
Think about it.
You know, there are very familiar names. Johnson's.
Nelson, Parmalee, McDonald, Lewis. Yeah, Burrell.
Bennett. there's very familiar names. Carlisle, there's very familiar names that are around this North Country and onto this, and I'm sure that now that this is out here, people can come out and they can probably do a family tree history and learn about their ancestry.
Somebody said, have you ever heard of the name Diedrich Fink? This is amazing. I never have.
Yes.
Of course, I've heard the name Diedrich, but never Fink as a surname. I'm going to have to do a little searching myself.
Yes, that's a very rare name, and that was one of the ones that came to my attention as we were looking down through these names. But who's to say? We may run across something. We may learn that there is a family of Fink around here.
Could be. Is the plaque itself metal?
No, it's bronze.
It's bronze, so
Yes,
and with a wooden frame.
No, it's not the frame.
That's bronze too?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it looked wood from up there.
Yes,
okay, I can see as I get
it's
closer.
mounted on a piece of granite. It's
Yeah.
1,700-pound block of granite. That was why we made our stone bolt and brought it up here.
Well, it is a sacred place.
And this other plaque back here, this was donated by Lake Placid Granite, and it was engraved by Plattsburgh Memorial, and they donated everything. And my friend Gary Harris made the base of it. This base was the white part of this base right here. We wanted this out here because it was special to us. It was one of the main pieces in standing the flagpole.
Yes, it sure was.
And
we got that on tape.
And this is why we wanted this out here, so it can remain here, and it will remain
So
here.
he welded the rest of it together.
Yes, he made it out of aluminum, and to explain why these names are, to help explain why these names are out here. So, and these veterans are. So
everybody can come out here and take a look, whether they have a guided tour or not, huh?
Yes.
And this old flagpole made it through one winter anyway, didn't it, huh?
Yeah, she's really sound, and
is that a special American flag that you have up there today?
that's an 1812 flag that we're flying. It's
I wanted to mention that.
15 star, 15 stripe. It's the one that was flying on their ships at the time of the battle.
That's wonderful. Well, we got bright sunshine. What a great way to start this Battle of Lake Champlain, Battle of Plattsburgh Day. We have many more events planned.
It is.
Are you going to wear that uniform all day?
We've got a couple of more events, and we've got to go in the parade, so I'll have it on for a while today.
We'll cheer for you, John Rock.
Gordy, thank you.
You're the man.
Thank you, Gordy.
Thanks so
Thank
much,
you, Calvin.
And have a great day.
You too.
See you, John.
Thank you.
Well, we had a little bit of a wait on shore in Crab Island, and now we're heading back to the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base Marina. And we met a nice couple from Canada. What are your names again?
My name's Alexander Craig, and this is my wife, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
And I work for Sears in Canada. My wife's a supply teacher in the local school system in Belleville.
Wonderful. Ontario.
Yes.
And what brought you down here today?
I'm a little bit of a historian. I belong to the Royal Marines Historical Society. I'm also a member of the Royal Marines Association. And we're down here in support of our band, the Royal Marines Association Band of Ontario. And
they made some waves down here in the last couple of years.
Yeah, they're an excellent band. They're very well qualified, well drilled, and we help them with all their accoutrements, the white helmets, and so on. And they've been on the go for a good number of years in Canada, about 25 years. And our association's been here since the early 1970s. So
they love to march.
Oh yes.
They're wonderful. I forgot the name of the baton master.
Paul Storms. Paul, he's the director of music, and the entire band was taught by a former Royal Marine bandmaster by the name of Rowley. What's his last name? Rowley. Anyway, Rowley was the guy who taught them. He's still around, but he's developed Parkinson's, and he's not able to lead the band anymore. And so we come down with them, and this is maybe the 5th year that I've come down by myself, 3rd year for the band.
They're absolutely terrific. We've interviewed the guys. We've talked to they bring a lot of their families with them.
Oh yes.
They put on a concert in the evening. I don't know if they're going to put on a concert tonight.
Yes, they will be doing a concert tonight. Right now, between 10:30 and 11:30, they have a sub band in the unit, which is a jazz band, and they're doing that at the band shell right now. And so they will be doing a concert after the march past and the beat retreat.
First time they came down, we couldn't wait to get in line to buy a couple of their CDs.
That's right.
We play them often. They're
an excellent band, and they practice. They have their own band shell in Coburg, and of course they're quite the ambassador for that town. You know, they get around. They did do a tour in Germany a few years back. They went to Coburg, Germany for about 5 or 6 weeks. So they are getting more and more known. And of course the quality of the music is really the driving force.
It's stupendous. This area embraced them and adopted them.
Oh, that's for sure.
It wouldn't be the same if they didn't come back year after year now.
Well, I don't know what their commitments are going to be. They don't want to make the music so stale that they won't be welcome.
Never happened with me. Never happened.
But they do get quite a few band engagements. They go to a number of tattoos in Canada, and of course they have their own schedule where they're doing concerts in Coburg quite regularly. They do the Santa Claus parades, things like that.
I think there's a Scottish fling going on Whiteface Mountain this weekend, not too far from here. Is that this weekend? That's this weekend. You're going to miss it.
Well, there's actually a Scottish festival in Trenton, which is next door to Belleville, which is on today, but I'd rather be here.
Well, we're delighted that you came here. Where were you born originally?
I was born in Glasgow, Scotland. My wife's English. She comes from Mansfield, England.
We enjoyed, my wife and I and some family members enjoyed a trip to Edinburgh in Scotland, into the Highlands, where my last name is Little, so with the clan Little did a lot of nasty things in the Highlands many years ago. So we had to go and make the tour, and we enjoyed it. And in Royal Theatre in Glasgow, we saw Tony Bennett live.
Right.
When he was 75 years old. What a show.
Yeah. The Glasgow's sort of the industrial capital for Scotland, Edinburgh being the actual political capital. But Scotland has been doing an awful lot of tourist things of late, and of course it is a wonderful place to go. And you'll find Scots just about everywhere. Our marching party today has 2 Englishmen and 3 Scotsmen.
Really?
So, oh yes.
That's the way it should be.
Well, there's so many of us in the association that we're going to change the name to the Royal Highland Marines, but that's never taken place.
They wanted me to wear a kilt when I was over there, but I weighed about 300 pounds when I went, and they couldn't find enough material. What are you laughing at over there? I want to know a little bit about how you got interested in history.
Well, my background is from a military family. Most of my uncles, my father, a lot of my aunts were all involved in World War II. I had a grandfather who was in the First World War. My brother was in the Marines, and I joined the Marines Reserve in the UK. Conscription was out by then, but I joined as a reservist. And history's always been there, particularly military history. And so, as I say, I started looking for Royal Marine activity in and around, Eastern Ontario, this area here. And I've managed to write a few articles and had them published in the UK in regards to it. And I'm trying to do more research about the Battle of Plattsburgh. That's why I'm particularly interested in the grave sites that are there and the people that are buried there.
Kind of a unique place in that respect.
It is. And to have them side by side, American and British, it's sort of prophetic of things to come, because that was the last war where Britain and the United States were enemies, and we haven't fired a shot in anger at one another since about 1815. So it's kind of nice that they're...
The speeches underlined that point rather poignantly today, and I was glad that they did, as they do every year. But it's, the wonderful fellowship and camaraderie we have among our 2 nations and the UK are wonderful.
Yeah, and we have that in the Marine Corps, the United States Marine Corps and the Royal Marines, 4-1 Commando in Korea. A lot of Royal Marines served with U.S. Marines in the Pacific in the Second War. And of course, we've been on the same side since well into the 1880s, the siege at Peking, the China Wars in the 1900s, First and Second War, Korean War, and now the Gulf Wars, both of them. British Marines were amphibiously engaged in the last war. And so there is a great deal of officer exchange. We have Royal Marines stationed at Quantico, drill instructors, PT instructors, and there's always been a large inter-corps exchange. And the same with the Royal Netherlands Marines. We do that with them too. So it's a sort of a brotherhood of Marines together, and we enjoy it, and we look forward to the exchange. And when we have our Corps dinner, quite often, if we can't get a British Marine officer, we'll try for a U.S. Marine Corps or a naval officer, similarly U.S. naval officers. So over the years, we've gotten to know a lot about each other, and it only works to the advantage of both. So it's excellent.
We really appreciate the fact that you both came down here. We had no idea the weather was going to be so spectacular. This doesn't make it half bad, huh?
No. This is typical Battle of Plattsburgh weekend weather. Oh yeah, I mean the rain and stuff that we've had, and we came down through some pretty horrible storm weather on Thursday, and it's been well worthwhile. You know, I really enjoy it.
We're delighted to have you both here.
Thank you.
Enjoy your stay.
Well, thank you. We enjoyed this.
We're back on terra firma, having taken a nice pontoon boat ride to the Air Base Marina, having wrapped up this portion of the Battle of Plattsburgh, Battle of Lake Champlain festivities. Roger Harwood and crew with his shuttle boat there, huh? Donald Dupree, Roger Harwood. Donald brought us back, and he said the boat was bucking, but it did well, despite the fact that Calvin and I held up the rear. It was a wonderful morning, and we're going to have a great afternoon covering parade and other activities on former Plattsburgh Air Force Base. So stay with us. Thank you for watching our program, and I think I know where we're going to be